All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Eric N1JUR, and hopefully the video is not terrible this morning. Yeah, Shannon and I have been in the background trying to battle with some of this stuff. I'm on a different camera, so my apologies there. This is, typical for getting back in the saddle where Windows just decided to take a vacation at the same time I did. So, and it's still on vacation. So hopefully, the video isn't as bad and laggy. If it is, just let me know in the chat. Well, obviously, we will back off on the mic there, guys. Thank you. Like, I'm not using any of my OBS software, so everything is pretty much running raw this morning there. So, let me know if I get a little too loud or too delayed or whatever. Oh, yeah. Is my sound muffled? Well, we're going to have to play it as we do best we can because OBS is not running for me. And if I'm running all my suppression and everything else like that works way better for being able to control that stuff. That's the life of a content creator here, YouTuber. So just keep me in check in the chat and let me know. Anyway, well, welcome to our live Sunday morning episode of Brew and Activate. Like I said, I'm here. Hopefully you guys are here for the duration and I don't lose you. But I'm your park guide, POTA mentor, lover of all things POTA. And so good morning to everybody and everybody in the chat. Let me see. I'm going through here real quick. I see Sean and Shannon. Good to see you. Chris, good to see you this morning. And Shannon, obviously, she's here this morning too. And, that's our little surprise tickler that I mentioned in a few of my posts out there. So welcome, Shannon. Thank you again for jumping on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, yeah, we're going to be talking some great stuff. Shannon's been, obviously very much a part of the channel and hanging out. And, she was obviously with us with the 24-hour POTA. So we're going to touch a little bit on that if you were a part of that or involved. We're definitely going to talk more POTA today. And so if this is your first time, and I don't see a few, let me go through the list here real quick. Gamer Kid, good to see you in there. And I said hello to Chris if I didn't already. Hello and good morning. All right, cool. It looks like the usual crew.
I think there might be a new person in chat. If I can give a shout out to my good friend Mike from England, Golf Zero Romeo Foxtrot Delta.
Nice, cool. Over the pond, always like that. Love the international, visitors. Cool, welcome. All right. Well, okay. So before I continue on with the usual, we okay audio wise? I'm not killing you. You guys, everything good? Video's good for you guys? I'll take the silence as a good.
I will say, Eric, I'm watching the YouTube stream on the side, and on the YouTube stream, you actually look more smooth than you do for me.
To you? Okay.
Soft.
All right. Well, then we'll cross our fingers and we'll hold still. Everything's good. My audio is going to be a little muffled, so my apologies. I'm going to try to, give at least a good distance from the mic. My filtering that OBS does for me is obviously not running because I'm thinking that's the culprit this morning. So we'll try to run bare minimum here. So my apologies. No great high quality video and audio production here. So heck, it's just like when we were starting right at the very beginning here. All right. So, for those that don't know what Brew and Activate's all about, we are basically your, excuse me here, I'm all over. We like to dive into the underbelly of POTA. We talk about everything. We like to explore. We like to analyze. We like to reconstruct everything about POTA, Parks on the Air. So, whether you might be like an activator like Shannon or Chaser, just curious about the hobby, you come to the right place for sure. So we like to talk about all of the things. So it no holds barred. If there's a topic or there's something that it's interests you or it's been bothering you, we love to bring it up here. We love to just learn more, be better activators and ham radio operators, as well as hear interesting stories for sure, because we all have them. We all love the idea of sharing our war stories as we go out there and tackle, the fun activity of Parks on the Air. So, all right, with the usual format, we are going to start our quick POTA minute, and so let's get that one going here. Right, so this week, let me bring it up here real quick because I am totally a mess this morning. Why not? Okay, is a website that I ran into a while back called POTA.review. I don't know if anybody's seen this. It's been kind of making its rounds here and there through the POTA Discords and the like. But if you... Oh, you're activating your Java right now. I'm like, you're out activating right now, Shannon, and you're watching us? That's awesome. Sorry. Trying to manage everything and read at the same time. Not my forte. But anyway, so this website I stumbled upon a while back when it first got announced, but I kind of did a circle back around and checked this out because I've been seeing some posts from obviously many people in the community on this one. So if you haven't seen this website, this is called POTA Reviews. So if you remember a while back on our POTA activations website, Parks, POTA.app, you'll notice that like the website itself has, and if we actually just go there real quick, there we go. You'll see like, if you go to a said park or whatever. So if I grab US 49 and 50 as an example, this was a park I kiloed a long time ago. You'll see that, for a while they were trying to add in a feature, or they were considering a feature where you could actually provide like kind of comments related to your, what the activation was, the location, that type of stuff. And for whatever reason, and I can understand it, the community itself was a bit of a challenge trying to offer this capability. So lo and behold, stepping into the scene is POTA.review. So if you've got a park, that you frequent, or maybe you go to, or maybe you're an activator and you're looking for a new park, POTA.review I'm finding is going to be a really cool resource for us to do like that intel kind of stuff that we're doing. So like, let's dive in here real quick. I'm going to do a quick, there we go, log in here real quick. So it's a free site. You can log in, create your own account. And it's really much a kind of community-driven site. And so if you go over to the POTA map, it pulls in all of your POTA data from your activations and stuff. But as you see, it's got all the park maps. And anywhere there's a green dot here is somebody's provided a peer review or a community submitted on a park. And so you can go in and check out a park. So this current park here I'm looking at right now, I think is, Silver Lake State Park. So this one I do a lot of videos from when I do reviews. You can see just by clicking on it who the last activators were, and it's pulling all the data from that website. But if you say you want to do a review or want to see if the park actually has a review, you just click the Read PNR Review, and lo and behold, it'll open up a full review of that person's experience at the park. And it's kind of written in a narrative format. So it's not like it's technical in nature per se. That's like, this is the location, this is the park, this is where you have to activate, that type of stuff. It's kind of buried in that with photos and stuff like that. So if any of you guys in New Hampshire and Mass have activated or been a part of these parks, you'll know these pictures will look pretty familiar. And it's a great way to kind of provide community feedback on a park. Your experience as an activator. What pitfalls did you run into? Where's good places to activate, so far and so on. And it's really community driven in the sense that you can add comments to those posts. But if you're so inclined like myself, you can go in and write a review once you've created an account, and it's under field notes. And the nice part about it is that, you put the POTA reference in, the park name, some of the details, you can add photos. And it's really kind of straightforward. And so you submit to them. They obviously do a quick review. So, they're obviously a one-man show or a couple of people helping out. And the purpose is basically just to provide other activators, your experience. And so it kind of supplements, I think, in a good way, the whole activity of, us sharing, conversations in passing or on Discord or wherever, where we're like, oh yeah, I've been to this park, avoid this, do this, whatever. And now you can just, provide all this information in a community driven resource. And it's all available, on the website. So I'd say, heck, if you've got a bunch of, parks that you activate and you love to be a part of, head on over to the website. It's free. Log in, start contributing to the community, because I think this could be a really, really great resource for all of us to be able to refer back to in a way that, the current POTA.app doesn't provide us. And no fault to them, because in essence, they've got a big, chunk of stuff that they have to take care of on a, day-to-day basis. So having links like this and links to potamap.us and other resources, I think are really, really great, and really, really useful as tools for us to be able to just enjoy activities like Parks on the Air. So that's the POTA Minute there. So let's go back to the main scene here and bring Shannon back in, who's so nicely been there in the background. Cool. All right. Let me just do here. There's a lot of stuff. She's probably been, she's already on the chat. She's my sidekick. This is perfect. All right. Well, with that, so today, a couple of things I just wanted to catch folks up on. So I see a bunch of folks that were, part and parcel involved in either virtually or actually physically at the 24-hour POTA. We are doing a live stream coming up this week. So head on over to Live Free and Ham for those. There'll be a YouTube video posted soon for us going on live stream, which will be Wednesday, and the time and everything will be in there. We're going to be doing a recap. We're going to share some of the really cool stuff of, how much we donated to TI, how many contacts we had. We're going to kind of share the good, the bad, the ugly, and there'll be a whole bunch of cast of characters on there, including Shannon. So, she's just making her rounds and enjoying, the life of a YouTuber. So, it'll be fun. So, keep an eye out for that, and love to have you on there. And if you want to get the inside scoop on what's been going on, we've got a whole slideshow and video thing going on. Grouch was so kind enough to give us his talents again and create a customized song in his, for the 24-hour POTA. So that'll be cool if you want to catch that. So outside of that, we're picking back up the mantle here and doing some great stuff on the channel. I've got a bunch of antenna reviews. Matt, from Alliance Antenna gave us an inflate antenna, which is a very interesting antenna for sure. Been doing reviews on that, his new Rabakoff, and a few other things. So we'll be doing a lot of other additional videos for the channel. But, those are all coming soon. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk POTA, as always. And I wanted to kind of get into today's topic, So, the title was a little clickbaity this morning, and not in, in any slant or not. But, it's kind of funny because we always use this as a way to kind of, create a rise and get people's attention. And so I figured, we're going to talk POTA because we just kind of came off the 24-hour POTA camp out, and that was a blast. And I got a chance to operate a little bit in the wee hours of the morning, which after drinking a lot, I'd advise nobody to do, but it is what it is. But I also brought Shannon on because she wanted to talk a little bit about a couple other POTA activities. And so we're going to kind of expand this a little bit just to get back into the conversations, because we've been off, like I said, for 2 weeks. And so it was, I think fitting to, just talk about, hey, some of our POTA experiences, not in the sense of why it's killing, ham radio. I think it's actually helping ham radio. And as we all probably can agree, because I know there's a lot of folks in here who are very, very active out there every day, some case 3 times a day, 4 times a day, doing, some great stuff, and activating some parks. And actually, Shannon and both Jabberjaw's there too as well. I am going to actually go activate Mount Aggie today. So, keep an eye out for that. I might not hit the spotting page. I know you've been hunting Todd, often and frequent. So, make sure you got me in your ham alert. So anyway, all right. So to kind of start this off, yes, how many of us in general have realized that, let's back the train up a little bit. How long, and I'll throw this out to you, Shannon, as well. How long have you been doing POTA in general? Like, put a number in the chat. Shannon, you can kind of elaborate a little bit. How long you've been in the Parks on the Air program and doing POTA?
I've been doing POTA since about probably summer of 2023, I think it was.
Okay.
My first real activation actually was also Mount Agamenticus. I did a couple smaller ones before that at Lynn Heritage State Park, since that's kind of the closest POTA park to me. But the first one where I had like a crazy pileup was Mount Agamenticus.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Mount Aggie is a love-hate relationship for me. I love it because of the views and the fact that you can literally see, north, south, east, west in a clear day and catch all the way to the coast. But I've struggled, and a lot of times, I guess it's when I go, because usually it's high traffic areas and a lot of people there. And so like trying to set up antennas in the, general area and stuff like that, not always conducive. And I always end up, not making a lot of great contacts. But for what it's worth, when I do go up there during the week, when I was, doing work up there for my business and stuff, it was always great because it was super quiet, great views, and always had no problems making contacts.
Yeah, so my setup when I went there was we took the Subaru. It was when my husband was still with us, and it was, I'm looking at it right now, August of 2023. We had the 17-foot whip on the triple mag mount on top of the Subaru, and I was set up in the back, using the back hatchback area as like my desk. I think I only had the G90 back then, so I only had 20 watts. I had my chair set up. I was making contacts. I had my pink headphones, of course. And this car pulls up next to me with all these antennas on it. So obviously, like, I knew that was another ham radio operator. And I was like in the thick of it, and he comes up to me and he just kind of like passes me his card, and he was like, "Hey, I see you're busy, but I just wanted to give this to you." So he gives me his eyeball card. He was like a section manager for the ARRL for New York. I was like, "Hey, that's pretty cool." That was like the first time I had really sort of met anybody like important in ham radio, I guess.
It is a volunteer position, but yeah, I totally. I think it was. Is it N2XDD? Was his call sign? Might have been, because it's a couple guys I know.
I think there's a couple different sections in New York. So,
and New York is a big place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. It's very friendly. I find even when I'm up there and people have no understanding of ham radio, they're still inquisitive and still like, asking like not the weird questions like, "Oh, are you hunting aliens or bird migrations or whatever?" It's like, they'll actually sit. It's funny because I had my very first activation up there. I had gone up and talked about, and I was just activating general, and some random couple walked up on me, and they were like, they didn't say anything, so they kind of just stood like off to my right, and I'm like, still doing the radio, still like kind of just doing thing, and I leaned over, said hello in between contacts, and they responded hello, and then like 5 minutes later, they're like, are you talking to like Europe? Are you, and so they were listening and observing, what was kind of going on. And it was kind of like a good, it didn't require me to kind of proselytize, ham radio and get people like, here's my card and here's, parts going to the activation. It was just kind of just like they were just absorbing the whole thing. And come to find out later, they ended up sending me an email because they obviously heard my call sign and they wrote it down and they checked out my channel and they were like, oh yeah, we ended up becoming ham radio operators later. And I'm like, oh wow, that totally like, not even like involved in letting them know about the hobby, whatever. They kind of just took it upon their own and ended up finding a great connection in the hobby. So it was pretty cool to see something, like that happen and come back full circle later.
Well, yeah, to kind of like, go with what you just said there, that was sort of one thing that I wanted to share specifically on the show today that I had talked about somewhere, and I can't remember where I posted about it, but an experience that I actually had on a POTA just this past Tuesday, right after the 24-hour POTA. I know you guys couldn't believe that, like, I needed to get another POTA after a whole weekend of POTA, but I happen to be on the daily net that I join every day. If I can plug that for a minute on the N1 HSY repeater in Topsfield, Mass. It's at 0830 daily. It's called the PokeNet. And it really is just like the friendliest bunch of guys. So there's a gentleman that joins that net every day now because I had actually, he hunted me on a POTA and he lived in Topsfield. And
Oh, wow.
in that hunting, he hunted me on 20 meters actually. So we got each other on ground wave. So in that, I invited him to join this 2-meter net. This was back in May. So now he's become a regular contributor and member of this net. So he mentioned on that Tuesday that he was going to do a POTA activation. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not doing anything. Miles is at school. Let me meet you for a POTA. So we met up for the POTA and we're setting up. And while we're setting up, this guy rides by in his bicycle and he is like, hey, are you guys doing like amateur radio or something? And we were like, yeah, we're doing ham radio. We're getting set up here. He was like, oh, I saw the car with the call sign on the license plate. You don't see that often. So he was like, I got licensed when I was 13 years old. I renewed my license once when I was in my 20s. I had no idea that people were still active and still doing this. And he was like, I think that was like around 10 years ago. My license is probably almost ready to expire again. So we were like, heck yeah, let's, we looked him up on the, I think it was on the ARRL website, has a place where you can look and see when people's licenses are about to expire. So his license indeed is going to expire in January of 2026. So coming up in just a few months. And we invited him to, renew his license, dust off his equipment, and join us on the daily net and, meet us for radio whenever he wants. And he seemed really interested in it. And I gave him my email address so he could reach out with any questions if he needed any help. But, to me, that is really sort of the spirit of what POTA is all about, is getting out there and making amateur radio more visible so that people can see that, this hobby does still exist, because a lot of people remember it from like the CB days, or maybe it's something that their grandfather did or a neighbor did, and they don't realize that, it's still out there.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how it draws back a lot of like good childhood memories, or just a relative doing something in the hobby, or it's one of those things that I very much kind of get the warm and fuzzies every time like I show somebody ham radio. And like we do, just on a sidebar, like you might have seen a couple of shorts I did with our club where we go to like 4-H and we let little kids get on the radio. And you ever see a little kid on the radio, like they just don't stop. Like you get them going and they're like, this is really cool. Like, it's kind of funny because like we've had a few little kids wander off with the radios, and like if we're not paying attention, they'll like literally become their own. And so like it's like kind of things like that. It's like, you just really want to see them light up. And the same goes some people with like, I'll do activations down in Nashua at a rail trail that I love activating at. And people like will walk up and they'll be like, they'll hear it, they'll see it, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I have my license, but I didn't really get into it. But, so what's all this? And you start to explain. They're like, wow, I don't have to be in like my shack with like big equipment and all that stuff. It's like all that stuff is that super small, and I'm like, yeah, dude, it's super portable, and they just get fully like wide eyed and excited about the whole ordeal, and it just kind of really like explodes in their mind of like, wow, like you said, it is this hobby that like thought they died away when the smartphones kind of came into play and technology and internet and all that other stuff. So yeah, it's very very cool to kind of be part of and witness.
Yeah, that's like that's another thing that you mentioned about, that the equipment that you need is, not some massive boat anchor of a radio. I think people have this misconception that, amateur radio is a very expensive hobby and that you need a lot of space and that you need a very large antenna. And that really is just, it's not true.
Wow.
I mean, radios expense is relative, right? So like you
Sure.
can get, a G90 for, $400, and that was my only radio. That was my only HF radio for, a very long time, like for 2 years of doing POTA and for 4 years of being an amateur radio operator. The G90 was my only HF radio. You
Well,
can use that with a simple wire antenna,
you could use it with a wet noodle. That thing was
Yeah.
like that made everything like tunable. Like if you haven't paid attention to K0KLB, he's that guy. He'll take a coil of wire and wrap it around a corn stalk and then take his G90 and tune it.
Yeah, I just saw that. I didn't watch the video, but I did see that come up in my recommendations. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely get started in amateur radio for like less than $1,000 and probably
Yeah,
even less than
less
that.
than that.
That's another reason why, I actually like group POTAs is because, not everybody has to have their own radio. You can have one person that has the radio, one person that has the equipment, and everybody can share it. And it's actually a great way to try out different radios and different equipment and different antennas and see what you like, what you might want to get for yourself.
Yeah, totally. Hey, give me 1 second. I'm going to circle around. I just wanted to say hello and welcome to the N1JUR community for folks that gifted memberships. Chris, thanks for receiving the gifted membership there. Rabbit Ham, Jeff, AA4BC, Bob Kopp. Yeah, good to see you, Bob. And Jeff Gershbach, good and welcome. There's a lot of great content over there, and we're doing some more stuff with YouTube memberships and stuff. So yeah, I definitely we'll get you guys all added to our private Discord too as well. So yeah, definitely come over there and join and have fun and talk more POTA for sure. So yeah, sorry about that sidebar.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. So it looks like I have a question from Chris. He asked me, how many HF radios do I have now?
You never ask a lady how many HF radios she has. That's just the way it goes.
I need to admit that on the air because I might get a little bit in trouble. But so I have a FTDX10. I have a FT891. I have the G90. I have a ZBit X.
Wow.
I have a FT710. So I think I have 5 HF radios.
Yeah, okay. That's not bad in terms of hey Miles, how's it going?
You can have some candy corn. It's 9:30. It's okay, right?
It's totally fine, man. It goes great with your caffeine in the morning. No secret handshake, Chris. Sorry. We can invent one if you really need to feel you have to have a secret handshake. But yeah, I'm always interested. So yeah, what was that? I just lost my train of thought. Miles. So one of the things I was just checking in the chat. So Shannon was actually making a mention of it, and I just lost where it was. Oh yeah, she was saying group activations. Or no, sorry, there was Sean. Sorry. Mic fright is definitely a thing. It's kind of funny how that like we had a podcast that we did called talking about mic fright and stuff like that. And I can't tell you how popular that podcast was because I never really understood. Maybe it's just because my personality in general, and maybe Shannon, you never really had mic fright at all. I think once I got my general and jumped right into POTA and started getting on the air, I just was like, you know what, I don't care if I sound legit or correct or PC or whatever. I was just like, all right, I'm going to figure it out and try it out. And it's kind of funny because like we get a lot of comments and feedback on just the whole mic fright thing. But POTA is perfect for that because it's not like you have to understand the what's going on in terms of the conversation. It's just signal report, location, state, and then on to the next one. And so you learn very quickly, kind of the rhythm. And I find a lot of people, especially when getting them involved, love it because they just don't have to like think outside the box, and it's pretty straightforward for them. You find that the same way, Shannon?
Yeah, and I think, I talked about that a little bit when I was on Live Free and Ham back in February about the International Women's Day YL POTA Party, which will be happening again in
Sweet.
2026, of course. That, doing POTA gave me so much more confidence on the air. And I know like I'm a super chatty person and it doesn't seem like I would be the kind of person to be shy, but I definitely had mic fright, when I was first getting on the air and especially, first getting on HF and maybe you don't really know so much about your own station, your own antenna, your own setup. And the other person that's coming back to you is giving you all this information about their station and their setup, and you have no idea what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of a little difficult to maybe find some things to relate to them and continue the conversation. So that's, one thing that I do like about POTA. Like you said, it's just you're giving them, your call sign, their signal report, your park number if you're in a park or your location. It's usually, a fairly quick exchange. There's not a lot of pressure there to, continue a conversation unless you
Mm-hmm.
really want to, because,
Yeah.
people can activate a POTA park any way they want. They can activate it contest style with just quick contacts, or they can sit there and rag chew, or a combination of both. Like, if people here saw the video that I had posted from Tuesday, actually, which showed about 11 minutes of our activation, where, I did spend a little bit of time, talking to the people that were calling. But we had a crazy pile up that day. I think at one point in time, right when I was taking that video, I had about 3 call signs lined up of people that I was
Yep.
like, okay, please stand by. Please stand by. I'm going to get to you. I promise. Um,
Yeah, the way you said it right now, it's kind of like you said it in a nice, polite way. Like, but you were like on the, on point. Like, I'm gonna get to you. Don't worry. And it's like, it was like you were running a mission, and you had to go from A to Z. And I was just sitting back because I had walked up into it when you were on the mic, and I was just like, well, yeah, we get this under control. No problem there. I don't have to take, the helm for anything. And she was pounding out contacts. It was really cool to see. But the funnier part is I think I jumped in after you, and it was like silence. I lost whatever momentum you had. I lost whatever opportunities that were there. It was just like, oh, I got thwarted by another female voice again. So, but yeah, it was awesome. So. Interesting. I just wanted to make a sidebar. Ralph is not in here, but does the call sign KC1TLY come to mind?
oh, yeah.
Okay. He and I were chit chatting on our local repeater, and Ralph is, for those that might not know, he's our president of our club, Grand State Amateur Radio Club, and he was just like, he had come to the site, I think, to drop off some stuff from the 4-H fair on the POTA weekend, and he was walking around and whatnot, and he didn't obviously make the connection or didn't see you and stuff, and then I started talking about you and some other stuff that was going on, and he was just like, is that Shannon? Like the one who runs the Pocahontas net? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know she had a net. And he's like, yeah, I check in all the time. I try to use my female voice, but, he basically, I get thwarted every time telling me, hey, Ralph, good morning. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll have to let her know. So he was like, oh, man, I really wanted to see hello to her and say hi because, I just know her on the air. So, yeah, he was quite bummed that he didn't get a chance to make an eyeball QSO with you.
Well, maybe he doesn't remember, but I did actually meet him before at Nearfest back,
Ah,
I think it was like May of 2024. It was the first time I went to Nearfest,
okay.
and I was there with, oh my gosh, KC1 TL. F or something like that. I can't remember his call sign. I'm gonna feel bad if he sees this video now, but I know him from Ham Radio Crash Course actually, and
Mhm.
we met up there. We had our first eyeball QSO, and he introduced me around to a few people. I think I actually met Paul there, but he
Okay.
probably doesn't remember that.
Probably not.
Um, but yeah, and I love that people think that I'm like the leader of the Pocahontas net now. I don't know. I guess I'm just like their biggest advertiser, but I have to give all the credit to, the old guys that are on there. And
Running it.
my brain is not working right now that I can't even think of their call signs.
That
But
is
but
totally
Bud and
acceptable.
Jeff number one, so they'll know who they are if they see this video. NY1Z is Bud.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. So he was quite excited. So yeah, well, hopefully this Near Your Fest is coming up soon. You're going to be up that way.
Yeah, I am definitely planning on being at Nearfest.
Cool. Well, then we will all be hanging out. So, depending on time frames, I think Grouch will be camping up there. So we might do another live stream. You're more welcome to come hang out if you're going to be around. I know it's obviously a little challenging and whatnot, but yeah, feel free to come find us. I'm going to be hanging out with Matt's booth because hopefully, well, knock on wood, Matt said it might be coming. I don't think he's got some changes going on, but either way, if he is there, then we'll be just hanging out with him and having some fun. So, and Tortoise will be there for sure, causing mayhem and trouble. So, all right. So, kind of circle back around on the POTA stuff. So, from a standpoint of like activity, have you when you're I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this because like this thought kind of came up. So we obviously talked a little bit about how like the conversation in POTA is very fluid. It can change to, like you had mentioned before, in a contest style to casual conversation in between. One of the things that kind of I run into a lot is like we're getting into contest season now, like real contest season, and the bands, depending on what's going on, can get a little crazy and busy, especially on the weekends with contesting style. And for someone new to the hobby, that is, probably pretty scary, especially if you have no resources to kind of lean on in terms of like, oh, well, what are they saying when they give you a 3-digit number, or, why is everything always 5-9? And I find that a lot of times when, people get into the hobby, and I actually think I saw it in a Reddit post recently, and I think it was more just one of those things to just, rile people up of why HF is so tough. And it alluded to, very much the ham radio contesting kind of thing. It was like, it's too scary, it's too crazy. And the real cool part that I saw in all of the banter and conversation in Reddit, which is pretty normal, they all kept pointing him back to POTA. Like, get out and do a POTA, get out and do a POTA. Because as we all know, like, it's not stressful. You don't have to have, like, as you explained earlier, a lot of the right, the right equipment, the right antennas, all that stuff. You could get out there with very minimal equipment, or even not even have to go out with your own equipment, go out with somebody else and, be able to play DX. Like, I think we do POTA so much, and I know I do POTA so much, that I just kind of take for granted that I'm going to be the DX. But when I first started, I can't tell you how much the feeling of, wow, what a pileup like feels like, what a conversation with people feels like, and my experience is just invigorated me. And I kind of feel bad because like I'm bringing new hams in now, and I don't know if you're feeling the same way. Bringing new hams in, and the solar cycle is starting to go down, and you can't be like, hey, I'm going to sit you in front of a radio for 3.5 seconds, and boom, you're in a huge pileup. You have to work at it now. I don't know if it's the same feeling for you.
Yeah, it really depends on the day and the time and, the band conditions. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it comes a little slower, like excuse me. For me, I always sort of say, like, I love those pileup conditions. It just gets my blood pumping. If I'm not making one contact a minute, I feel like it's a little slow and boring. But,
Uh-huh.
some people don't like that big rush. And I mean, that's one thing about POTA is that I feel like there's always people out there that are looking for POTA. So if the band conditions aren't that great, then POTA is probably your best chance to be able to get contacts instead of just like sitting there and calling a general CQ, not being spotted on any sites.
Yep. Yeah.
things of that nature. But, in terms of like the contesting, so to give sort of another example, on I think it was Saturday, September 6th, I had gone and done a POTA in Maine, actually, at Fort McCleary State Park.
Ooh.
And I had forgotten that it was a big contest that weekend. I think it was the North American QSO party.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And I could not find a space on 20 meters to be able to call CQ, within that general portion of the band. And even I think in the extra portion of the band, it was pretty full. So I just ended up, starting at the beginning of the voice section and slowly scrolling through and stopping at every station that I saw and just, making contact with them, even though they were for the North American QSO party. And I gave them that exchange, it still counted up as POTA. I didn't
Yeah.
have to call CQ POTA. I didn't have to tell them I was at a POTA park. I just logged them as a contact and, got, 11 or 12 people.
Yeah. Funny part is like 9 times out of 10, you're probably never going to get a reply back, and you're probably never going to, like, they probably don't do POTA in most cases. So whether you log them or not, or, whether they got you in the right park or not, that's the cool part about POTA, is that, it does all the heavy lifting for us. So it's like, you just give your call sign, give a 59 and whatever like number you make up to start the sequence. You could just, easily net 10 or 20 contacts without a problem. I was shy when that first kind of started out, which is kind of funny, but to say it out loud. But I same way. It's like I avoided a lot of those kind of spaces because it was like, it's not following what I've locked in my brain of like, oh, I should give them a POTA park. And a lot of times I just learned that it's like, yeah, I'll just give my call sign, log them, and move on. And it's it's a tool that I'm using now more because the bands are so up and down, in the solar cycle that you got to use every advantage you possibly can to activate.
Right, exactly.
So let's just dive in here in the chat. Shannon, let me see. She misses her pileups. Yes, I agree with that. They are one of those addictive drugs in the ham radio hobby that can get you to a place that you reach out for the next the next pile up every time you go out. It's a little scary. So if you need help, reach out to me. We'll help. We'll get you on a therapeutic recourse and move you forward, because we got to balance out your experiences. The highs need to be right with the lows, and the lows need to be up by with the highs. So everything's all balanced. But POTA Power, good morning to see you in there. Cool. Everybody jumping in. I'm just going to say a quick hellos to folks. Again, if those have been noticing some of my audio issues, yes, now that we're back in the saddle, we were having some video technical difficulties and a few other things. And so I've gone down to bare minimum at this point, but we'll work it out. It's probably just software related as typical stuff. So my apologies on all of the bad audio that's coming out of my mouth. Shannon's obviously the star here, so I'm just going to, hand the torch over to her, and she can run the show the rest of the way, and she's doing an awesome job anyway, so I appreciate redirecting is basically what I'm saying. So
thank you, Todd. Eric, why are you
I love it. Finally, it's like possible. Like, I do this to Todd and Paul all the time on the show, and the guys don't understand why I keep getting their names screwed up. And now it's perfect. It's like, now it makes sense. So, Todd, if you go back and watch us on replay, see, it's not me. Yeah. So, Chris, yes, it is kind of like a drug. POTA is a good drug. It's a drug that you don't have to deal with any of the side effects of. It just causes you to just keep doing more. Although I think the only side effects, if you're married or have a partner who's not a ham radio operator, you kind of have to do that delicate balance, because they they don't always want to be there listening in the background, and after the third eye roll, it's like, okay, I got to stop here. I can't keep chasing the next contact down the road. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, the audio is hot, as I was saying earlier. My OBS setup is complaining, and I had a lot of technical difficulties. So, yeah, my apologies on that, guys. But we'll get back in the saddle once I fix all of the software problems and the gremlins that have creeped in this morning. So I think where we kind of want to steer the conversation a little bit. So, where do you think, in your mind, for probably like the next couple of years, what is POTA going to look like to you? I mean, obviously you have your own kind of idea of what POTA should be and where it's going, but now that we're going down in the solar cycle, What are people, what are you thinking? Obviously, that it's going to look like for you, and then at the same time as we continue to encourage people to get into the hobby and start, professing more of parks on the air and stuff like that. What do you kind of feel like that's going to look like for you?
I mean, just because the solar cycle's going down doesn't mean that, ham radio is going to die. It just means that, we have to get a little bit more creative in, how we're going to make our contacts. So, that means you're going to have to start looking more at using, 40 meters, 80 meters, 160 meters,
Hmm.
maybe using different antennas, maybe using more power, different radios, um, maybe using different modes. You might end up using more digital modes like FT8. I know, love it, hate it. That's a real, divisive subject right there. Maybe even having to try and make more VHF, UHF simplex contacts. I think a lot of people kind of forget, especially depending on where you live, if you are, in a not so populated area or whatever. I mean, try calling out on, 14652 or 2 meter calling or 6 meter calling and see if you can get some people local to you.
Well, funny you say that because I think if you watched the live stream on Friday, our steak and whiskey, literally, I think it was Parker and Chris who are in the. I know Chris is in the chat there. He's doing a POTA at the moment, so he might not be listening. But yeah, we did what we call the professional courtesy of butt to nut, and we all just passed the mic around and literally activated. I think pretty much. I don't think I activated myself, but either way, it was one of those things that it was just like, oh, let's just go through 440, let's go through 2 meters, let's go through. Anybody got 220? And Mike's like, yeah, I got a 220, and so we just shared the radio and went all the way around, and it kind of feels dirty, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you use every band you got to your avail, and don't give up on that for sure.
Exactly. I did the same thing on my POTA on Tuesday. My club president, NQ1W, Brandon, he actually showed up because he was right up the street. And, he heard me and Steven actually talking on the 2 meter repeater about, that we were coordinating getting together for the POTA. So because he heard us talking about that, he was like, hey, I'm right up the street. Let me come by. So,
Nice.
we ended up making contact, car to car in the park, mobile to mobile on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. So I got him in the log for, a couple contacts there.
That's awesome. Yeah, like you said, just do whatever you can with what you have in front of you, and if it's never been done, give it a shot anyway. I mean, like we didn't have success at least with the 24-hour POTA trying to do slow scan TV, but I figured, okay, at 4 or 5, I think it was like 5:30 in the morning, I was doing 6 meter FT8 with a guy literally just over in Manchester from where we were in the park, and that not major distance, but it's a contact, and it was like one of those things that we just added a list, or try CW. I dare say it, but heck, if you haven't tried that stuff, try those modes. I mean, that's the nice part is you see a lot of folks out there professing how easy it is to do CW, as long as you can remember the your call sign 59 and whatever, then most of the time you'll be able to make one or two contacts. I know Josh does a lot of that, and he's getting better proficiency wise. But on my stand, it'll be my my bucket list item to take on there.
Well, and that's one thing is that, we all need to remember this is supposed to be fun. So if you're not having fun and you're making it like too serious and
Just
thinking
get him a mic. Get him a
about
mic.
it's like, it should be fun first and foremost.
Hmm. It's fine. We all know
So,
Miles. You've seen him on the video.
um,
Just sign a release.
and yeah, in terms of CW, yeah, I'm getting into CW myself now. I've been a member of Long Island CW Club for a couple months. Um, and I actually tried to make a CW sked contact yesterday with my good friend Adam, Alpha 1 November. He was out in the park. Um, And yeah, I can send his call sign, I can send my call sign, I can send, you are 599, thank you, mass. So, and I can probably recognize his call sign. It's, not that difficult being a short call sign. So I figure even though it's a little bit of cheating because I can't, I don't know the whole alphabet.
I don't
Um,
either.
it's like you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Well, and Tim WM1H, his call sign, White Man One Horse. That's the way I remember it. Good friend of ours, and he's been in our club. He is a CW nut. He has carried that forward and doing some awesome stuff with it in the community and just in general. But yeah, he's always encouraging me no matter what to get on the CW, get on the CW. I'm like, well, I gave my keyer away. I can't get on CW. So well, one thing to another, I will eventually get back into it, and I'm sure Tim will be right there by my side, going, yeah, keep going, keep going. So, cool. Let's see here. We've got a couple of new folks in there. Steve, good to see you there in the chat. KO4FL. I think I said a little Chris, Tim, WM1H. And then I just saw Matt from Reliance there hiding in the background. Good to see you this morning. So yeah, we're just kind of getting back in the saddle here. We're just chit chatting about POTA's killing ham radio, but not in the way that you think it is. We're finding that as we start to do some really great things, kind of going into the fall, 10 meters is going to start to pick up. Other bands that normally are a thorn during summer months, we'll start to give you a better activity and stuff. So yeah, just get out in the band. I think I saw, who was it? Was it Todd? I think no, it wasn't Todd. There was someone in there said that they want to make a 10-meter contact with you, Shannon. Is that somebody you know?
Oh yeah. So that was Todd Poole, and he I think is, possibly new to the stream. He's a technician
Oh,
and
cool.
he's in Vermont. And I had mentioned that Vermont is one of the states that I still need for worked all states. Can you believe that
No, I
I'm
do.
this active and I still don't have worked all states on phone on QRZ? So if you are watching, if you are in New Mexico, Nevada, or Vermont, those are 3 states that I still need for worked all states on phone.
Yeah, Vermont actually worked out in my favor. I ended up actually, I don't know what it was. There's one park in Vermont that I activate up in Burlington. I can't remember the name of the park. It's literally just on the border before you get into Canada. Shoot, it's drawing a blank at me. But either way, I was actually up there activating, and I found that another activator was on the other side of the lake, which is also the extension of the park. And he was also activating, but he was on different bands. And when I realized that he popped up or he found me, that's how I ended up getting Vermont, because there's no other way I'd be able to get Vermont for worked all states if, there was any other way it worked out. I know it's the same thing with Todd trying to get, Alaska. I mean, there is an Alaska, POTA extravaganza, I think what's coming up soon. I saw somewhere. So yeah, Todd, if you're not there and you need Alaska, now's the time to work Alaska, because they're all there. Oh, I don't have any Alaska. Yeah. Alaska's tough, depending on where you are. I know for us, it's always a reach, and propagation definitely plays a factor in that one. So curious. Now, you mentioned obviously FT8. How much FT8 do you do out in the field?
In the field, I have never done FT8.
Oh, okay. Any plans at
have
all?
I have the ability to do it. It's just, FT8 is fun for me to do at home when I don't have anything better to do. And at home, I live in the city. My antenna is an end-fed long wire antenna, so it's not the best antenna. It picks up a lot of noise. So usually I do FT8 at home, from my home station, or for those of you who know me, I have a remote that is located in the East Midlands of England. I have a UK call sign, which is 2 Echo 0 Oscar Hotel Tango. So I run FT8 remote from that station in England and FT8 at home quite a bit.
Wow, nice. So you're playing both sides of the pond. That's awesome.
Yes. My dream is to one day make a contact with myself, actually. I have not yet managed to do that.
I'm gonna say the world might implode, but
Yes.
we'll stay tuned for that. We'll see how that one goes. We'll have to live stream if anything. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're kind of getting up on the near the hour, and we always like to kind of keep this to a little bit of an hour here. But from a standpoint of everybody there in the chat, we got 23. It's been going great, and good to see so many jumping in here. And again, sorry about all the audio issues and video issues. We'll have that sorted out for sure. But for whatever reason, Windows strikes again on me. And so, yeah, my audio is definitely hot tonight, or this morning, I should say. So all good there. And I think I saw Tim post, let me see. Oh, yeah. So Tim, quickly, our club does fox hunts and throws out fox boxes from time to time. So yeah, bummer you got stumped there, buddy. I heard we actually had a couple people already activate, or at least find the fox. So don't give up, my friend. Get out there and find them.
Yeah. And I think Roger just said in chat that he still needs to hunt Colorado, Maine, what is that, Missouri, and
Missouri.
Utah for worked all states. So if you need Maine, I think Eric just said he's going to activate Mount Agamenticus. That's in Maine. So look for Eric.
Yep. You know where to find me. Put me on the spotting page. I have no idea. We'll probably be up there mid-afternoon, at least Eastern Standard Time. So, feel free to, work the bands, and I'll make sure I get you there in the log. All right. Oh, my gosh. My all-star nodes in the background barking at me. Sorry. Let me go turn that down. There we go. All right. Well, let's kind of put a little bit of a bow on this one. But, okay, sorry. Roger, I believe I just said he's going to activate. Yep, I did say. Yep. Sorry, that was you, Shannon. Yes. The two Shannons are just like trying to juggle both of them. Too much. Cool. All right. Well, POTA is one of those hobbies that I love to talk about. As Shannon, same way. A lot of the guests and folks that I hang around with, that's all we kind of talk about. I mean, it's almost like the contesting crowd. That's all they ever talk about, or the CW guys. That's all it's their passions and their loves. And so, one of the shows and one of the purposes, maybe if it's the first time, joining, is that, this is just kind of like an open forum. So, we're from time to time like to talk about topics, like to talk about things around POTA. And we always like to continue that conversation. So if you haven't, you can head over to our Discord, and I just kind of want to do a little plug for that. We have a Discord over there for morning brew and activate. So if you're not part of the Live Free and Ham Discord, that's what it is, the link is in the description down below. Come on over, come hang out. It's called the channel is called N1JUR Brew and Activate on Sunday mornings. We love to talk about POTA. We love to share our thoughts. But what I'm looking to do, and I mentioned this very early on when I started, is that I'm trying to kind of culminate a electronic, we'll say, ebook. And not for the purposes of selling or whatever. I just want to build a community kind of resource that's just like what we'll call the POTA Bible for all intents and purposes. So as I start to accumulate stuff in the show, as we start to talk about certain topics, I'm looking to be able to build this resource. So if you've got stuff that you want to talk about, or maybe you got some cool tips or tricks that you want to add, head on over to the Discord, share that with me, share that in the channel there. And we'll make sure we get that integrated into the book. So resources like we just shared with the POTA Minute, POTA.review. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure a few folks in the chat know about POTAmap.us. If you haven't, I can definitely add that to the list. But if you've got things like that you want to share, head on over there, do that, send that, and I'll make sure I share them in the next episodes. Because ultimately, the nice thing about POTA is that it's an open community, I think. We are probably one of the best communities, I think, that love to share intel, love to share resources, and I can't tell you how much if I went over to Shannon and said, hey, what's the best parks in Lynn to, activate, and where should I go? What's your first reply there? You going to hide it from me?
No, I'm going to take you with me.
See, exactly right. She's going to show you the best spot. She's going to tell you where she does her activations. And, that's the cool part is I get emails all the time from folks, and I'm sure Shannon and other people as well who do POTA often. And they're like, hey, I saw you on the spotting page, or I saw you on this, as an activator, or the top activator. what's your secret? And nobody I have ever run into has ever said, I'm not telling you what I do. They're more than happy to share their antennas. They're more than happy to share photos. I've done several like emails back and forth of like, hey, go here, don't do this, try this, and make sure, just to give that person, the best leg up to be able to activate. And I can't tell you how many times people email back going, dude, thank you so much. And it's like, I appreciate it, dude. I'm like, I learned this. I want to share it. I want to pass it on. So that's what I think is the coolest part about this hobby. Not so much just the hobby, but just in POTA specifically, because like I said, I love POTA, that, we're not, willing to guard any of that information. And, I have a feeling in the next couple of years as I start to kind of do more stuff that, whether it's a younger crowd coming up into the hobby or, the older, hams that are like 30, 40 years old, 30 or 40 years, sorry, been in the hobby 30 or 40 years. Sorry, no, that's way beyond me. That, they're starting to get back into the hobby. And so I'm seeing like this, uprising of like, people deciding that, yeah, the old way of, the hobby is, your shack, and you invite people to your shack, and that's, kind of your space, and that's kind of how you connect. Because I'll tell you a quick story. I used to, when I had my license about 30 years ago, so in my teens and whatnot, the old adage, and you probably heard stories, is like people invite the young kids into their shack and say, hey, this is what I do at ham radio, get them super excited. And that used to be the format. And so you used to have a great setup in order to be able to, reach halfway around the world. Now that's not the case. POTA, I mean, literally, you can put everything in a bag. I mean, Josh is doing 1 pound, POTA activations, that whole ordeal. So like, for us, it's not like Shannon mentioned, it's not like, oh, here, come on over, schedule a time to go see my shack. It's like, hey, let's go out to the park. Let's go out to that location. And it becomes this neutral place where people can just like ask questions, not feel like, oh, I can't touch your equipment or I can't do this. It's like, it's totally, tossed that whole concept on its ear and made it so much more reachable and attainable by a lot of folks. And so, yeah, I leave it with that, with the idea is like, heck, if you're into POTA, you're doing stuff, reach out to, your friends, your family, anybody who, sees you doing ham radio, and just share a little bit. You don't have to like give them the whole dissertation about what you're doing or why you're doing it. And feel free to laugh off the alien, comments and all the other stuff in between. But yeah, just share it as like you normally would share, hey, your favorite beer or your favorite barbecue or restaurants or whatever. And I guarantee you'll start to see some more people start to really, jump into the hobby and get super excited. And then we'll have to deal with all the lids later, but that's another story. So cool. All right. Well, like I said, thank you guys for all joining in and being part of Brew Activate. And so we do this every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you haven't already, head on over to the channel, subscribe. Make sure you jump in and come be a part of this, because this is an awesome community, and I appreciate everybody who's hanging out here and everybody's being a part of. And Shannon, you're always welcome to come on anytime. I won't call you my Frank, but in essence, the position is open. So with that, any last final words you want to throw in there, Shannon? You want to add?
No, I just, everybody go out there, have a great day, go out and POTA and, bring a friend.
Yeah, totally. You've heard it here. She's thrown out the gauntlet. If you're sitting in your shack or you're watching this from your TV, get off the freaking couch, go out and POTA. Simple as that. So thanks again, everybody. And as always, make sure you check out all of our sponsors that help the show. That's Reliance, Mad Dog Coil, and Spool Tenna. Those guys are all great antenna companies. Matt is there in the chat, so give him some love and definitely check out all of his stuff. And just remember, like I said, we're here every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Hope to see you next week. Make sure you comment, like, and share this with others. And as always, until next time, keep your radios on, the PTT down, and POTA on.
POTA on.